Hey everybody, welcome to another car chat. It is I, Brandon..therapist, Lauren.Spoonfull. Today, we're going to talk about reasons why not to take advice from friends and untrained professionals.
On your marriage.
Unless you want a divorce. And so the reason for this conversation is because we often come to our friends, family, and talk about our problems. The biggest problem with that is that they are biased. They have your best interest in mind. So they're going to work to protect you and not look at the overall problem from both perspectives. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to marriage, it's all about perspective. Right. You see one thing, your spouse sees something another way, same problem. And the reason perspective is so important is because we handle things according to our life experiences. Right. If we don't share the same experiences.
Taking advice from friends who have different experiences can sway you in a way that's more for what they can do or want to do versus what you can do or want to do.
Exactly. So the first reason it's bad is for that very reason, is that they come in with their own perspective. So how does your friend or family member actually deal with marriage? It's a big difference. Mm-hmm. You know, it's hard taking marriage advice from a single person, especially one that has never been married, because they can't even give you the same concept. They don't understand. So what is their experience when it comes to dating, when it comes to marriage, long-term relationships? How do they feel about their preferred partner? Mm-hmm. And have they even found that yet? Because sometimes you get people who have had just bad luck in dating, or maybe have gotten rid of the one person that they should have kept.
And they carry that anger with them.
Yeah. And they're passing it on to you. Mm-hmm. Or you get somebody with this I'm a play mentality, and they're in their play stages, giving you play advice.
Right.
And that's unfair to your spouse. It's unfair to you. Mm-hmm. But that's the perspective in which they come from.
So recently, I was asked for some marital advice about what to do from a lady about her husband. And unfortunately, her husband and my husband are nothing alike. They don't do much of anything similarly. And so I couldn't even help. I just said, you're going to have to express what you want and work with how well he respects what you want. Because at the end of the day, it was nothing else I could really say, because her husband, they don't treat each other the same way. They don't love each other in the same way. They've only been married for a handful of years, where we're knocking on a dozen. So it's totally different.
It's been a long time.
Married for a dozen.
Dated for 17. Total 17.
No?
18. 18? Is that long?
Ooh.
Our relationship is an adult now?
Yeah, we're legal.
Time to go.
I need some advice on how to get rid of this. So, but yeah, just their experience that you're asking advice from, it needs to be similar, and that's very difficult. I don't have married friends. I don't have many married friends, and then the few that I have are either married less than half the time we've been married, or they just had much shorter relationships. Another guy I was talking to last week, Friday, and she made a comment about not having any more children because she spent her whole entire marriage having children. I'm like, but your oldest is 4. Yeah, we've been married for 4.5 years.
There you have it.
There you go. Okay. And I was like, well, we've been married for 12. So the problems you have at 4-year marriage is not the same at 12-year marriage.
No. And part of that, well, the biggest reason for that is that you evolve. You're evolving as a couple, you're evolving as a person.
Yeah.
And so with the maturation of your relationship and your individualism, you're just going to go deeper into it. And there's also something called the trust cycle. The trust cycle is basically a spiral. And the more you can trust someone, the bigger that spiral becomes. And the longer you're together, the more trust you're building. So you're able to tell deeper problems, have deeper conversations. You're able to sit with each other and problem solve those problems on a deeper level because you now have a deeper trust. Don't disrupt the trust cycle. Once it stops, and that's where it ends. Whether your circle just began or your circle is as big as the earth itself, it stops.
Is it stop like kinking a chain? Stop like
you get nothing else from here.
Yeah. And I think that's when people go to their friends. It's like, girl, you can't do this.
Yeah.
Can't trust him. Can't trust men or whatever. And those kind of comments. And I think that makes that trust kinkiness in the circle worse.
It does. And speaking on what you said, when friends say it, that means they have stopped trusting everyone associating to that one person.
Right.
Let it be for that one person and be fair to that one person.
Good gracious. Right. Number one, do they have the similar experience that you have so that you can take proper advice from them? The second reason why we should not take advice from friends and family on your marriage?
Because problems happen.
Shit happens. Life is like a box of chocolates.
Right. So if you're actually a client of mine and we have talked, I tell you, I'm a therapist. I give marriage counseling. I help couples. I argue with this one. And I said sometimes there's just no perfect thing. It's something got messed up and we got to figure it out. And that doesn't always come easy. I'm like, so the advice I give in therapy to write it out, talk it out, doesn't always happen directly in the moment, but it happens after we talked about it, fussed about it.
Yeah. Slept on it.
You.
Well, we know how to come back to a conclusion, and we don't need to bring other people into it to get that conclusion.
And sometimes that conclusion can take longer than expected.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Do not expect instant results or instant answers. We have microwaves. We have internet and 5G and now 10G. And
let them be the instant thing.
Right.
Let your marriage simmer.
This is not instant.
Mm.
There are some parts of your life where there's an issue, but it affects so many other areas of your life that this issue has to be handled with care.
Right.
And not everything is like, okay, let's do it. And you're like, wait, how are we going to do it? When is the timing? Where do we go? How do we live? What is the distance?
Yeah.
You got problems.
I think one big one lately is jobs. And people are getting fired. People are walking away from their jobs. And the ramification to that affects food and housing and childcare and bills. And it affects so many. And sometimes we pay attention to the small nuance. Like, you spend too much on food. That's just part of the problem. The original problem was that person is no longer working and the income is all over the place.
Right.
Yeah. And so your friend's advice on that and how you should help that, it's not gonna work. You need somebody who's really gonna help with that person to tap in. What is it that you can do, need to do to get back on your feet to solve all these small little problems that are breaking off from that major problem.
And again, depending on how much you talk to your friends and family, they're just gonna look at your spouse as if they're a burden.
Oh, yeah.
And if that person has to go over there, how do they feel now? How does your family treat them?
You tainted their image.
Yes. And, now you can't even enjoy barbecue together.
That's reason number 3 to keep your family and friends out. You're going to damage their image. You're going to make people hate someone, you love that person. So once you figured it out, finish fighting over it, you're gonna love that person. The rest of the friends are like, he did that, she did
Why
this.
is he still with her? Why is she still
Right.
with him? And you have already worked it out, but they love you, so they're gonna look at, try to protect you.
Right.
And no one needs, and at that point, now you have to choose. You have to choose between your friend or your spouse. Or just have a limited relationship, or they can't be around each other. Which means there's no barbecue together.
You want to know why you didn't get that invite? They don't want your spouse there.
Right.
Because you tainted it with all your complaining and oversharing.
And now both partners feel weird, and they don't know, they don't have the relationship. And even if they do have the relationship, they may not come back together because that exists, it still exists in their heart, that whatever was told to them is still there.
Right.
And we just can't. There are therapists. In theory, therapists are supposed to be non-judgmental. And they are there to help you navigate through all of this. Don't go to your friends looking for proper advice. Know that they're going to offer advice that is best for you from them to protect you. But a therapist looks at both sides and say, okay, you guys are saying the exact same thing and the translation is wrong.
Right.
So you're not hearing each other and you're arguing because you both agree with each other. And they're like, what do you mean we both agree? I'm like, you literally both are saying the exact same thing in two different ways. And because in two different ways, your comprehension of what each other is saying is clashing, and thus you're arguing.
Reason number 4, therapists are professionals. That means they've seen more of you than you know of you. So as a therapist of over 15 years, you've seen tons of clients like yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, like, not ourselves.
Well,
like, you see tons.
Well, actually, I have clients who remind us of some of the arguments that we have had. But I've seen plenty of clients that have been through things and don't understand each other, can't talk to each other. And I'm like, the problem is you guys aren't listening anymore. You become defensive.
Right.
And when we become defensive, we are not talking. We're not talking. We're just defending.
Yeah.
You know, we're on
quick responses.
And then we tear each other apart. And then you end up arguing over stuff that don't matter. You know, the reasons that that you're just gonna have these arguments, this miscommunication, and it builds up. Because every time you talk to your spouse, you're looking at each other like, what is it gonna be? How do I handle this?
Yeah.
Oh, what does she want now?
But therapists understand that. Your friends, they're not going to get it. Your friends are thinking they're stacking a deck. Oh, he did this wrong, then this wrong, then this wrong. And they just stacking a deck, where therapists are able to weave through and sort it. And it's like, oh, that belongs in the pile of irresponsibility. That belongs in the pile of infidelity. That belongs in the pile of stupidity. Because some stuff is just flat out, you're being stupid.
Yes. And then I work with you to help create new habits, new processes, new ways to work with each other, new ways to overcome this form of defensiveness so you guys can have a proper conversation. Yeah. Again, not every conversation ends completed.
Right.
You know?
That's like a video on its own.
It is.
Like, what? How do you table that fight? How do you table...
It doesn't even have to be a fight. It's just
that conversation.
Disagreement, yeah.
Yeah. How do you table it and come back later? Sometimes later it's like 2-3 months. Yeah,
and later it just means that we need to put this on our mind, but it doesn't apply just yet. But there is a time limit on everything. Yeah. But don't forget that we teach you those skills, especially if your relationship is suffering from them or doesn't have them.
Your friends can't do that.
No. So your friends are great people. They're lovely people. I'm not saying get rid of them. I'm just saying there's a place for it.
And that's number 5. Keep your friends as friends and not as your personal therapist, your relationship therapist.
And then get upset at the advice that they give you, and now you don't want to be their friend.
Yeah. It's not fair. They like you for you. They like you for things you guys do together. They like you sometimes couple to couple friends. They like doing things with you or with your children. They do not want to be in the middle of some shenanigans that you guys are experiencing, and they just keep friends. Keep family. They're the biggest ones. I don't have a sister. And I imagine if I did, I would be telling her all kind of stuff. That's unfair. Your sister relationship doesn't need to be burdened by your marriage and the happenings of your marriage.
So don't get me wrong, there will be marital conversations. But those marital conversations should be more of a how-to versus a venting.
Yeah.
Because your venting can be perceived as he's not treating or she's not treating him correctly.
Now, family or friends are helpful when you're in a situation that's maybe an emergency. They're trying to help get you away from a particular person or away from a dangerous situation. We're just talking about everyday life that marriage brings. The good, the bad, the marriage vow, good, bad, and ugly, the poor, the rich, the healthy, unhealthy, all the different parts that make up that marriage creed. If you're suffering from that, you don't need to involve them into that.
No.
That's for therapists, professionals that have been there, done that. They know the statistics. They know how to get you out of the trouble with work. Because nothing is work free, but you're going to put in the work. But keep your friends out.
Just let them be friends. And unless you're in danger, just let them be.
Yeah. Enjoy your friendships. Enjoy your family as they are, and not contribute to the drama. Because guess what? Your marriage is going to be the topic of discussion when your back is turned. Like, oh, did
Channel
you hear?
7 News.
Did you hear what she said? And he said. And
You ever got a call from out the blue from somebody you ain't talked to in a long time about some issues that you having? Because now they want to help you. You have just made the gossip wheel.
Right.
TMZ.
All in your friend group, your family group.
Fox News. Whatever you look at.
So for those who said, we don't know what's going on with Brandon and Lauren marriage, that's why. We keep it to the professionals. I'll tell you, yeah, he acted stupid today, but why he's acting stupid, you don't even know. None of your business.
And it's just marriage. Yeah. 2 different people, 2 different lives, 2 different perspectives. And it's going to clash. Not every conversation is going to be perfect.
Not every situation is going to be instant in your way. Go well in your own way.
So I hope these tips help. We thank you. Make sure to follow on Instagram at Brandon..therapist, Lauren.Spoonfull, and stay tuned for Bearing Battles. We'll be having a sipping hour, which is a group chat. Then we talk about male issues, male depression, issues that are going on with men. Ladies, if this is your spouse or someone you know, encourage them.
Yes.
It's an hour. Bring something to drink. Whatever you choose, you're in the safety of your own home. And let's talk about it. Let's overcome the issues that we are dealing with and learn to tolerate on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
So the link is in the bio. Do you have anything?
No. Just protect your marriage. Love each other. And keep your friends and family in their place. In who they are to you.
And remember, your family microcosm is highly important.
Yeah. Okay. Until next time, guys.
Talk to you later.
Bye. might want to take a swallow.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Clear your throat.
Hello.
And project. Okay.